The second edition of the AfCFTA Business Forum, dubbed Biashara Afrika 2024, brought in more than 1,000 delegates drawn from several nations of the African continent to discuss pertinent issues in the goal of driving the AfCFTA 2063 agenda. Welcome to this episode of Doing Business in Rwanda, where we focus on the main conversations that were being held here, including the issues of finance, the issues of investment, solving the logistics bottlenecks, as well as the issues of the SMEs as far as the AfCFTA goals are concerned. I'm your host, Flora Limuki. Rwanda plays a pivotal role in the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area AfCFTA. Having been the host country for the signing of the agreement in 2018, it is also the host for the AfCFTA Adjustment Fund, which mainly focuses on uplifting the micro, small and medium enterprises within Africa.
The focus should be on supporting small and medium enterprises. The reason is simple. These businesses and the women and young people that own them are the backbone of Africa's economy. But they shouldn't remain small and medium. They need to grow. Reducing freight, logistics and logistic costs would also be a game changer. Africa has some of the highest in the world.
As Africa moves to an implementation stage of the AfCFTA agenda, the AfCFTA Guided Trade Initiative will serve as a gateway to encourage continued trade under the AfCFTA, resulting in a multiplier effect and increased opportunities for SMEs, youth and women in trade, and ultimately establishing sustainable and inclusive economic development.
Because as President Kagame said, you would have heard him in his opening speech, that the SMEs and youth entrepreneurs are the backbone of Africa's economy. So we want to implement this agreement with the private sector, SMEs, youth entrepreneurs. We want to face the challenges together, and we want them to own this agreement and to implement it as co-implementers. And I'm very, very happy about the outcome. We explored solutions on how do we overcome the cost of trade finance. How do we overcome this issue, lack of progress on movement of persons, customs authorities, how do we bring them on board so that at the border, when the goods or the trader is clearing, that there is an awareness that there are rules, new rules for trade. And then, of course, the challenge of pharmaceuticals production, public health, trade and public health. These are some of the key areas of focus over the last few days.
Once implemented, the AfCFTA has a potential of creating a single market for the 1.3 billion people in Africa and a joint GDP of 3.4 trillion shillings for the continent. However, the center of all this is solving the financial conundrum as well as the issue of value chains to realize this dream.
The strategy of value chains is a big strategy because it's not everyone who will directly trade with a neighboring country or a country afar on the continent. We are talking of value chains, creating an ecosystem, having aggregators, trading companies that can source from those SMEs owned by women, by youth, and otherwise, and really go through, like create a pipe for those in the downstream to also indirectly reach to the market. So that value chain strategy is one. And we are also putting in place digital platforms that can be accessed in partnership with providers of such services, so that you can trade online, supported by payment systems that we are advocating and partnering with the private sector to make interoperable, so that you can take your goods, you can order an item from any other country, from Ghana, from Tunisia, where you're sitting in your comfort zone in your home, and then you can be able to trade. Those are the things that we are also coming up as strategies to leapfrog the borders that are still not well connected in terms of roads, in terms of railway, in terms of air line, and all of that is not yet developed like to the level we wish, or to the level of affordability that we would have. But we are pushing to leapfrog while we are also working on the free movement of people. We are still struggling with that, but I'm sure that we'll get there.
ESC, for example, like you were asking earlier, one of the things that we had said is domesticate air travel. What do we mean by this is today, fortunately, there's no barrier in terms of restriction of people, movement of people in East Africa. Or there's little barrier, let me say little barrier, not no barrier. But domesticating air travel is becoming a very difficult sell, and it shouldn't be. My argument has always been people in East Africa, if you took East Africa as a region or sub-region, want to travel, they want to trade. Now, either they will travel or trade without aviation, or they'll travel trade with aviation. It's going to make it easier for them to trade if you domesticate air travel. So the cost of the passenger air service charge will come down significantly to less than 10% of what we're currently charging. And that way you will travel more between two different nations and trade more for that matter.
In line with addressing the financing bottlenecks, Rwanda is a host of the AfCFTA Adjustment Fund, consisting of 3 sub-funds, namely the Base Fund, the General Fund, and the Credit Fund.
Rwanda has been proactive in entering international markets. We have ESC market, which is not small. Now we have African Continental Free Trade Area market, which is for the entire continent. And SMEs, according to statistics, make up to 90% of businesses in Africa. So if you want to tap into market opportunities, you have to strengthen your small and medium enterprises. What we are doing as Rwanda, we start by building their capacities for them to understand not only the rules of the market, but also the requirements of the market to comply with the standards. We have a number of programs here that aim to support SMEs, like the one called Zamuka Ubuziranenge. So you assist small and medium enterprises to understand standards and also be to a level of complying with the standards, the requirement of the national and international market.
With over 50 million MSMEs across the African continent, MSMEs are integral to the AfCFTA success and are poised to benefit from the $22 billion in export growth.
We are ready to key into it, and the SMEs in Africa are glad that the AfCFTA is coming to play. They're ready to support. They pledge their full support in working very closely with the AfCFTA Secretariat. And as it is, we're excited that AfCFTA and the AU and many other global systems have given the SMEs a seat on the dining table. But hey, we want something more. We want to be in the kitchen. We want to be on the table in the kitchen where the food is being cooked.
At Biashara Afrika 2024, several traders drawn from the continent were present, presenting the areas of logistics, automotive, exporters, pharmaceutical industries, among many other sectors.
We came here with 10 MSMEs who are in the stalls exhibiting, and it's an array of women. It's an all-women team, I must stress that. So 10 women from Botswana who are here exhibiting their products. We've got basket weavers from northern Botswana. We've got those who are in agro-processing. We've got those who are in skincare and hair products using the natural resources of our country. So basically what we are here for is to give them a bigger platform than we can give them at home. A chance for them to network with other African businesses, to unlock supply chains, value chains, to add value to what they're already doing. Because as I mentioned, they're already trading.
One is the harmonization of standards. I was very much happy in the session this morning to understand that the organizations like RSO, ISO that are actually working to make sure that standards are harmonized, to ensure that I can export from Botswana to your country, Kigali, also Kenya or elsewhere. Second thing, to also know that there are players within the industry that are helping to support SMEs or MSMEs to be able to trade, your UNDPs, your African banks. What we need as entrepreneurs in Africa is multiple partners to be able to play on ground and help us to be able to bridge that.
I believe that the AfCFTA holds a lot of promise and a lot of potential for we, the young people, who are the majority within Africa. Over 400 million young people in Africa are a great potential for this continent. And we believe that if we can be able to take up the opportunity and breathe life into the AfCFTA, we'll be able to unlock lots of potential. One of them being job creation. Job creation in the sense that we as young Africans, we are very entrepreneurial, and we look forward to, we don't look at problems as problems. We look at them as opportunities to create that extra job. So that's why we are creating the awareness, so that young people of Africa can know what the AfCFTA, the potential that the AfCFTA brings in.
A lot of challenges that we've been facing, they have talked about it, but in terms of implementation, very little has been done. We have a lot of challenges when it comes to trade between African countries. For instance, I have some clients in South Africa. When I supply those flowers, for them to transfer the money, they have to send to Europe, then transfer to Africa. So that makes it a bit difficult for us to trade within Africa.
Indeed, in the quest to unlock the intra-African trade, public and private partnerships are vital in this process, as well as empowering the MSMEs within the African continent, and most importantly, the political will to drive a single market for the 1.3 billion people in Africa. Thank you for tuning in on this episode of Doing Business in Rwanda. I've been your host, Flora Limuki. Until next time, goodbye for now.